You were taught that working harder was the safest path to getting ahead, so you wake up early, answer messages after work, take on extra responsibilities, and tell yourself that eventually the effort will become financial progress. But there is a problem that becomes harder to ignore every year. Working harder does not automatically create more money, more freedom, or even a better financial life, because your time has a limit while the demands placed on it do not. Imagine two people starting Monday morning with roughly the same income, the same 8 hours available for work, and similar responsibilities outside their jobs. The first person decides to solve financial pressure by working more, taking overtime whenever possible, accepting additional shifts, and eventually adding a side job because every increase in income seems to disappear almost as quickly as it arrives. The second person also works hard, but eventually notices something uncomfortable. If every extra dollar requires another hour of personal effort, then increasing income means sacrificing increasingly more of life. That realization changes the question. Instead of asking, "How can I work harder?" you begin asking, "How can the same amount of effort produce more value?" That is where leverage enters the picture. Leverage is simply the ability to produce a larger financial result without increasing your effort in exactly the same proportion, and it can come from skills, technology, ownership, systems, capital, distribution, or other people's time. The important distinction is that leverage does not mean doing nothing. It means separating your financial results from the number of hours you personally have available. For most of your working life, however, you are psychologically trained to think in a very different way. You are rewarded for being busy, because busyness is visible, while leverage is often invisible. Your employer can see the hours you worked, the meetings you attended, and the tasks you completed, but they may not immediately see that one improved system could save hundreds of hours over several years. This creates a powerful psychological trap. You start measuring productivity by effort instead of outcome. When money feels tight, your instinct is therefore to add more effort, because effort feels controllable and familiar. You work late because you cannot easily control your salary. You accept another shift because you cannot immediately change your career. You spend your weekend working because the extra income is measurable today, while developing a valuable skill may take months before producing any financial benefit. Behavioral finance helps explain why this happens. Humans tend to place greater psychological weight on immediate rewards than distant rewards, a pattern known as present bias. An extra $200 from overtime this month feels concrete. Spending 10 hours learning a skill that might increase your future earning power feels uncertain. So you choose the guaranteed reward, even when the long-term opportunity may be much larger. There is another psychological force at work, the way your lifestyle adapts to income. Suppose you receive a $500 monthly raise and immediately increase your spending by $400. Your income increased, but your financial margin increased by only $100. Then your rent rises, your insurance increases, groceries become more expensive, and another subscription quietly enters your monthly budget. Eventually, you discover that the extra work you performed did not create the financial breathing room you expected. This is where traditional personal finance still matters. Before thinking about leverage, you need a financial foundation. You need spending below income, manageable debt, emergency savings, and enough financial margin to make decisions without being forced into every available source of income. Leverage cannot rescue a financial system that consistently spends everything it produces. But once your foundation is stable, leverage becomes much more important because it changes the relationship between time and money. Consider a simple example. Suppose you earn $25 an hour and work an additional 10 hours every week. That produces $250 before taxes each week, or roughly $13,000 over a year if the schedule remains consistent. The problem is that the additional income requires approximately 520 extra hours of your life every year. Now imagine that instead of permanently selling those 520 hours, you spend part of that time developing a skill that allows you to earn an additional $10 per hour across your existing working hours. If you work 2,000 hours per year, that additional $10 per hour creates approximately $20,000 of additional annual earning capacity without requiring another 520 hours. The numbers are not a guarantee, and the skill does not appear magically. It requires time, learning, practice, and often several failed attempts. But mathematically, the difference is important. One strategy increases income by increasing the quantity of your time sold. The other increases the value of each hour. And this is the core idea behind leverage. Technology can create another form of leverage. A spreadsheet that automatically tracks expenses can replace repeated manual calculations. A useful piece of educational content can reach thousands of people after the original work is finished. Software can perform a task repeatedly without requiring someone to manually perform the same action every time. Capital can also create leverage. You save and invest $300 every month and earn an average annual return of 8%, compounded monthly. The account could grow to roughly $1.49 million after 50 years. The contribution itself would total $180,000. The remaining growth would come from compounding. That difference illustrates something important about wealth. Eventually, your money can begin participating in the production process instead of depending entirely on your labor. But there is a psychological catch. Leverage feels slower at the beginning. Working overtime gives you an obvious result this week. Building an investment portfolio, developing expertise, creating a business system, or learning a valuable technical skill may produce little visible financial progress initially. That makes ordinary hard work feel safer. You can see the paycheck. You can feel the exhaustion. You can point to the hours. But financial progress is not measured by exhaustion. It is measured by the relationship between what you produce, what you keep, what you own, and how much additional effort is required to maintain it. This is why simply telling yourself to work harder can become financially dangerous. You may become more productive without becoming significantly wealthier. You may earn more while having less time. You may increase your responsibilities while increasing your expenses at nearly the same speed. And eventually, you can find yourself earning twice as much money while feeling almost exactly as financially trapped as before. The practical lesson is not to stop working hard. The lesson is to stop treating hard work as the entire financial strategy. When you earn additional money, consider whether it is being converted into something that can reduce future dependence on your time. That could mean building an emergency fund so unexpected expenses do not force you into overtime. It could mean paying down expensive debt so future income is not consumed by interest. It could mean investing consistently instead of allowing every raise to become permanent lifestyle inflation. It could mean developing a specialized skill that increases the value of your existing working hours. Or it could mean building systems that allow one useful piece of work to be repeated, distributed, or improved without starting from zero every time. The deeper point is that your most valuable financial resource is not simply your willingness to work. It is your limited time. Once you understand that, the goal changes. You are no longer trying to fill every available hour with productive activity. You are trying to make better decisions about which hours deserve your effort, which expenses deserve your money, and which assets can continue producing value after your attention moves somewhere else. Because there will always be another shift available, another email to answer, another weekend you could sacrifice, and another way to become busier. The harder question is whether all that additional effort is actually improving your financial position. Sometimes working harder is necessary. But if every increase in income requires an equal increase in your time, you have not escaped the fundamental limitation. You have simply found a more demanding way to live inside it. Real leverage begins when your financial progress no longer depends entirely on how many hours you can personally survive working. If this perspective changed the way you think about income, time, or wealth, subscribe to Unspoken Finance for more evidence-based stories about the psychology and mathematics behind everyday money decisions. Remember, wealth isn't just about numbers. It's about understanding the unspoken side of money.